Coming up on Carolina News, Columbia shooting, the latest on last night's shooting that happened downtown. Carolina News got an exclusive interview with someone close to the suspect. And political update, what kind of stress are young voters experiencing as we near November 8th? Plus, restoring hope. It's been over a year since the historic flooding in Columbia, but some people are still trying to rebuild. What One Midlands organization is doing to try and help those people get back home. And Gamecock Warrior, one USC student takes being a fan to a whole other level. What inspired him to become the face of the student section? All that and more next on Carolina News.
Live from the capital city, Carolina News brings you your news first. With breaking news and in-depth reporting. Up-to-the-minute weather. And all your sports news and highlights. It's all here, now, on Carolina News.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Zach Driver.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Hannah Sims.
There was a shooting last night near a USC campus parking lot. Daryl Mosley Jr. is in custody today after he shot a man outside of a Hampton Street apartment. Our reporter Logan Ellis is on the scene.
Thanks, guys. I'm out here on the corner of Washington and Barnwell at Hope in Christ Ministries. The director here was actually the man who found the victim shot last night. The director, who refused to be on camera, said the victim managed to escape the Hampton Court apartment complex and make his way to the church to seek help. The suspect's roommate, Carl Archie, said he was asleep in his bed when he heard the commotion outside.
I looked out the window first and I seen all the polices and the ambulance and stuff like that. So I said, let me go out here and see what's going on. Come to find out, some guys had a dispute about something. Don't really know what happened, but the guy ended up shooting at the dude 5 or 6 times, caught him one time.
The suspect fled the scene as the victim escaped to the church. Archie and his roommates were held by the police until the suspect returned to the scene.
Now be mindful, I just had moved in here yesterday.
Archie works at Nathan's Restaurant, which is right next door to the apartment complex, so he thought his new living situation would be convenient.
And I ended up being detained for 2 hours in the police cars.
Archie says he doesn't know his roommate, but he was told the suspect is allegedly wanted in New York for violating his probation. Although he was just detained the night before, Archie still made it to work on time and will continue to live in the Hampton Court apartments.
They don't usually have this much problems right here.
Archie says that he feels better now that his roommate is in jail. Logan Ellis, Carolina News.
EMS treated the victim on scene before taking him to the hospital. He has since been released. Our weather specialist, Shannon O'Connell, is out at the Rose Garden with your first look at the weather. How's it looking out there, Shannon?
Thanks, Zach. It's a beautiful day here on USU's campus. A little bit chilly in the shade, but with a light jacket or a sweater, it feels great. We're having beautiful fall temperatures in the mid to high 70s, warming up into this weekend with cloudless days and cooler nights, but I'll tell you more about that later on in the show.
The presidential election is exactly 2 weeks away, and the latest CNN polls shows Clinton leading by 5 points. Both candidates are still on the campaign trail, trying to gain undecided voters. But recent studies show this election is causing higher stress levels. More than half of registered voters are stressed out about who will take over the Oval Office. Jennifer Harmon joins us now in the studio with more. Jennifer?
Thanks, Hannah. The election is causing more stress in people's lives, especially millennials. I went around campus today and talked to some students about their concerns.
Voting for the first time can be an exciting experience, but recent studies show this election is stressing people out. Junior Daniel Patterson is a first-time voter, and he's still unsure of which candidate he's going to vote for.
I was really excited about it, but now that I feel that the candidates for both parties neither really represent a good point of what views that I like. And
one of the major causes of election stress on millennials is social media. A study by the American Psychological Association shows that 54% of adults that use social media say it's contributing to their election stress.
Social media, at least this generation, is huge, and every single day, I can't go a day without going on Twitter and seeing, another person that's come out against Trump or another article.
The study also shows 56% of millennials feel the election is a significant source of stress. Kelsey Martin has a bachelor's in psychology and says millennials may feel pressured because of the way their friends and family vote.
A lot of people put a lot of pressure and say, they blame a lot of things that happen in the world. Oh, it's the millennials, it's their way of thinking. And so I think in this case, they want to make a right decision.
Students like Shelby Burnett aren't feeling the stress as much because they have their vote in mind, but are more worried about the outcome.
The election really isn't based on any kind of fact or policy. It's really based in just slandering the other candidate and just who's kind of the worst options.
Election day is 2 weeks away, which means millennials could become even more stressed as the date gets closer and decisions have to be made.
The American Psychological Association says the best way to prevent election stress is to take a break from social media and avoid getting into conversations concerning candidates and the election.
South Carolina and Richland County election officials say absentee voting is up, and that could be, we could see a potential record election day turnout. Patrick Ingram is in the newsroom with more information.
That's right, Zach. According to the State Election Commission, as of Monday, over 200,000 voters in the state have been issued an absentee ballot, while over 130,000 have returned those ballots so far. State Election Commission spokesman Chris Whitmire told me those numbers put the state on pace to be up 15 to 20% in absentee voting from the 2012 election. Richland County Elections Director Sam Self said the county is closely mirroring that trend as the county leads the state in ballots issued and ballots returned before Election Day. The majority of voters have voted absentee either in person or via mail. In-person voting is the quickest and easiest way to cast an absentee ballot. You can simply visit your county's voter registration office, complete an application with a valid ID up until 5 p.m. the day before the election. For those wishing to vote absentee by mail, you must submit your application before 5 p.m. on Friday, November 4th to ensure you receive your absentee ballot. Live in the newsroom, Patrick Ingram, Carolina News.
For many millennials, this election will be their first time voting for president. But how are first-time voters getting their political information to prepare to cast their ballots? Shannon O'Connell has the story.
Megan Durant is following all things election 2016 because this political season is unlike any other for her. It's the first time she is voting for president.
I think I personally have a very strong sense of civic duty, so regardless of the circumstances of the election, I'm going to vote.
She's staying up to date on the Trump and Clinton campaigns.
I follow both candidates on Twitter, on pretty much every form of social media.
And has watched the debates to hear the candidates' views on what they plan to do for our country.
I think it's incredibly important for voters to watch the debates. It puts them in the same arena, and it gives voters the opportunity to hear them pitch themselves and explain why the other candidate would be the lesser choice.
Political science teacher Shikri Sabaga warns against modern forms of media to get political information because people tend to get stuck in echo chambers.
Their friends that's in their news feed, the news articles that they end up reading, end up just confirming maybe their own biases.
He's also worried that while the showdown between Clinton and Trump is entertaining for viewers, it may scare millennials from coming to the polls.
Maybe we're giving America the conversation that they really are most interested in, but they're turned off by it because there's so much negativity.
Such a nasty woman.
Does that cause people to not want to vote?
In 2012, only 46% of eligible voters ages 18 to 29 came out to voting polls like this at the Richland County Election Commission to cast their ballots. But now that all millennials are of legal voting age, we'll see if that percentage increases or decreases for this upcoming election.
I hope that voters my age will, first of all, show up to the polls because I know that's a huge issue among our age group. But on top of it, they go out and they vote not based on, their party identification or what their parents' party identification is, but rather who they think is going to represent them better.
Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders caught Megan's attention early on. But now that he's not an option, has she made her decision?
Yeah.
But she won't say who. If Megan and other first-time voters turn out in large numbers, the millennial vote could have a huge impact on the next president. But we won't know until November 8th.
Okay.
Shannon O'Connell, Carolina News.
2/3 of first-time voters voted Democrat in 2008, but with the millennial vote continuing to increase, it's just unclear how powerful their vote will be for the 2016 election.
Premiums for the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, are set to increase an average of 22% across the nation, including South Carolina. That means it will cost enrollees nearly $300 a month. The figure is based on prices for a 27-year-old enrolled in the benchmark Silver Plan. With the release of this news, presidential candidate Donald Trump jumped at the opportunity to speak to supporters about the failures of the program.
In case you haven't heard today's news, it's just been announced that Americans are going to experience yet another double-digit spike in your premium for Obamacare, and it doesn't work.
Trump went on to say if his presidential opponent Hillary Clinton is elected, she would make health care more expensive for the American people. Administration officials say most consumers will not notice the price hikes because most enrollees receive federal subsidies. The 2017 open enrollment period for Obamacare begins November 1st. Thousands of California veterans are paying the price for enlisting in military 10 years ago. The military offered bonuses to get people to re-enlist during the Iraq War, but these bonuses were only meant for soldiers with certain job assignments. Investigators found California Guard officials used the bonuses to meet enlistment targets. Now, the Department of Defense is asking veterans who received the bonus to repay it. One veteran says it's costing her a quarter of her monthly income to repay the bonus.
You just can't all of a sudden come up with that money. We have depleted our savings. We're having problems making our house payments. I was late this month, don't tell my husband. And I haven't even paid my bill for the Army yet because we just don't have the money.
Soldiers can petition to have this debt waived, but Haley said her request was denied.
Coming up, a Midlands organization is trying to finish rebuilding homes damaged by last year's flood. We'll show you how you can bring a little hope to families in need next.